So if you're wondering what that photo actually is, yep, that's me doing the whole Heston Blumenthal thing. My kitchen's all decked out as well. So I've actually got a chance to make something 7 kilos of chili right now. But I'm actually going to put that away, that side of me away, to cook inside, because you got instructed for me after all. But let's get serious for just a little moment here. Times have actually changed. I'm not trying to scare people. I'm actually not trying to be the doomsayer or anything else. But the way that the world has actually operated has definitely changed over time. I still remember cutting my teeth, let's see, in the world of Windows NT4 and also Novell NetWare 5. Do you remember how much of a relatively simple beast an NT4 was? You couldn't even put a group inside a group. You couldn't even have a forest at that point in time. So now in this case though, we still got the same infrastructure for learning about. Essentially, we try to protect our environment, our desktops, our 4 walls. As you can see, the perimeter of the security, being 4 walls and 5 walls, has pretty much disappeared. We have actually got, let's not want to say threats, but we've got quite a fair few challenges here. People are bringing in their own machines. People have brought in their BYODs. Well, we call it bring your own devices. Some call it bring your own disasters here. But what is the things we're trying to sort out? The things we also have, when we actually have BYOD, is people just want to make it work. The shiniest toys. You remember we all had those Blackberries coming through? Make it work. Especially when you have some of the management here, the business owners, they're the ones that have all the gold, they have all the rules, and we try to make it work within our environments too. With the race towards getting it too, it's actually kind of been quite, like another challenge that we also have is it's no longer the machines you have to look after. We're almost expected in a way. Well, that's actually a bad term phrase though. We know that a lot of other people out there want to keep their businesses going, want to do business with you, with me, so they want to have that fair bit of that connectivity. Gone are the days, once again, where it says, I'm sorry, I'm away from my desk, let me get back to you. Because I'm sure that our potential customers, for the sake of convenience, can walk off and have a chat to somebody else. So what's our perimeter these days, though? It's going to be our identities that's going to be perimeter, though. They're the ones that actually safeguard all our data and our ability just to get what we need done, especially within the enterprise mobility space over here. They're the credentials that we actually have. It is so much easier to hack the user rather than actually hacking the system these days. And we can encrypt everything as we need to. I've been involved in some support cases where you have someone that's frustrated, they're completely locked out, and you are the next door neighbor, and you just a little piece of quiet, just go, look, here you go. I've seen people slide over the keyboard, use my username and password, and go and check on through. Let's bring up some statistics first. Let's have a look from the Australian Civil Directory there. And yes, for those who actually have been to MS Ignite recently, these figures do resonate quite well. It has been stated that 30% more of all attacks originate from the inside. Is it actually going to be something quite deliberate? Because we are all human and some can have very bad days. And it also can be just a complete, absolute last final act of someone with a little bit of vengeance, a bit of that chip on their shoulder, just go and do all that damage. If you think about it, you and I actually put a lot of faith in our domain admins. And they also put a lot of faith in us as their admins too. Another opinion from the Australian Signals Directory here is that 85% of intrusions that's reported to the ANSI, they actually could be mitigated by at least the 4 most basic strategies. Well, I suppose I would say basic of all the top 4 strategies. And you look at them here, it's the sort of thing you have a look at in hindsight where we don't really want to be part of that conversation at a very large meeting here. I mean, we know we should be doing things such as a white list of applications that shouldn't actually run. We try to keep the operating system as patched as much as possible though, even though that maybe testing when it's busy gets a bit behind though, when we also try to put out fires when we can. We also need to keep applications patched. May sound quite easy to actually do, but also in practice, what actually happens when the vendor doesn't exist anymore? There's a reason why, and we'll get to this later on, why Windows 10 still has a 64-bit mode, sorry, a 32-bit mode to run 16-bit Windows applications though. So that actually still happens today. There were concerns that they were actually going to get rid of it, but believe me, when you actually have a number of heavy engineering, plant equipment that still relies on things like this, that we have to get the systems running. Those are the line of business applications that we're actually going to need. For the sake of convenience though, we'd really like to make sure people can still get their work done, but it's always the choice between security versus ease of use. You and I have also known that we make something too secure, too hard to actually use, that our users will do whatever they can to try and get around it here. So we always try to control who's got administrative access. Speaking of administrative access, is it actually going to be really necessary to give someone local permissions though? Especially when, and this is also going to be the difficult part, the person who actually wants the administrative access are often our managers and the people who employ us. So it's very hard to actually try to say and try to tell them the answer is no. Now, this is what I'm not trying to actually show you. Yes, of course, this is Cortana, one of the major characters in the Halo series, though, because this is what's often been spoken about why you actually go Windows 10 and speech systems here. Yes, it's actually going to be quite handy, don't get me wrong. I mean, you do have Hey Google, you've also got Siri, and yes, got all the data that's being collected to help us out, though. If you actually have a chance to read the LinkedIn Pulse article, though, I did share you a bit of the story. Like I said, do like to cook a little bit, though, where Cortana's helped me out because I got my hands completely full, and just the ability to yell over the exhaust fans and just say, hey, Cortana, can you just, hopefully that did just pop up. Oh, there it is. Hey, Cortana's popped up on my Surface Pro 3 next to me. And just telling you, just convert Fahrenheit over 2 degrees Celsius to this one. But it's a lot more than the start menu, and it'll show you obviously in between. But I came up with the title for this actual webinar. I was having to look at almost how awkward it sounds. You know, is it going to be compulsory, compelling, or is it actually going to be on the embracing side of things? So it's always curious to have a chat to my clients that actually come through my courses, and they're always telling us about, oh, we're always waiting for the next version of Windows. But it's also quite curious to know that they're still keeping XP and 7 running, but they've actually got the bleeding edge when it comes to things such as Server 2012 R2, SCCM 2012 R2, but we're still using an operating system, XP or 7, that's actually into extended support or is finished already. So here's what I'm actually hearing. We've just migrated from XP to 7.8.1, and it all works perfectly fine. Who out there, feel free to raise your hand silently or have a bit of a face palm moment, who's thinking that Windows 10 was going to end up like Vista, where everything had a brand new model, everything broke at this point in time? You know the story, everyone's looking at you going, oh, the printer doesn't work, my devices don't work, the software doesn't work at all here. Just the biggest concern I actually had was everyone having just that other Vista moment though. And here's another little bit of a scary thought, though, that Windows 7 and 8.1, actually there are already an extended support for Windows 7 especially, and January 2020 does not sound that too far away. That's the next round of Olympics, and we've got Brazil next year as well, 2023 for Windows 8.1. So that's a compulsory part. Must we go Windows 10? We've actually got all this to begin with, though. However, what are the other drivers that you go with it, though? Try and get your hands on a Windows 7 machine right now, brand new. I've also had Ultrabooks end up in my palms, you know, like the newer Lenovo Carbon X1s. I promise they're not giving me $50 sponsorship if I drop names. Okay, throw in the Dell Latitudes as well if you'd actually like though. But I've got requests that says, hey, Gavin, look, we'd actually like you to drop this onto Windows 7 10. And I'm trying to hear, I'm seeing battery life drop, thermal throttling not working here, and also issues with Bluetooth coming through. But then some users are happy to stick with that because they're familiar with Windows 7. And why are we waiting for the next version of Windows? Because you are looking at the last version of Windows. We are seeing Windows as service. As an analogy, you know about Facebook when it released in February 2004? It's still Facebook. It's not Facebook version 19. It's actually here. They're actually going to bring out updates, security enhancements just along the way, and it's going to be very curious to find out. I'm looking forward to it though, about how this last version of Windows will be actually. So I would say it's time to get ahead of it here and see what we actually have. I'm not saying abandon. Let's go take it through a peek. So here's another compulsory site. Or you know what? Maybe you're in the other camp. It's on the compelling side. Go, ooh, this is actually going to be pretty handy, you know. Let's see what's on my list here. Well, like I mentioned before, we were actually quite compliant with having the latest and greatest up-to-date servers and services here, heavy patching, and actually heavy testing over on here. Moving over to Azure, as I often hear on the Channel 9 MSN videos though. So why is it? What's actually stopping us from extending that to our Windows clients though? So the compelling thing is, as always, we always go pilot groups, so you got your subject matter experts, your SMEs. We always have got your day-to-day users though. Who's actually done the ultimate litmus test before you actually go, well, I have my own personal test environment here, before we go to prod, in full production here. Who uses them, mum and dad? The elderly relatives here, people who are actually lucky to actually find their belly button, let alone the mouse speed, etc. I've actually found that I'm actually getting good uptakes from family and friends, from people who are pretty much muscle memory with Windows XP. But also, I'm actually getting good feedback from those who are, and you've probably heard this one, but they're the ones who ask us, can we make Windows 7 look like classic view Windows 95? Blue backgrounds, grey start menus, they do exist though. They don't want the eye candy all sitting out of place though. And you know what? Considering how jarring it was going from Windows 8's start menu with tiles, and also going over to the desktop over here, the desktop focus is actually back. Now, I'm actually a bit of a fan of Windows 8.1 tablet mode, but of course I've got my army of Surfaces and tablets and Dell Venue 8 Pros. Look, if you actually follow me on the Twitter here, I actually have a wooden dish rack next to my bed, and I stack up everything from Kindles and Nexus 7s and all the way through. Yeah, maybe a little bit of fire hazard, but it's actually looking okay so far. But back on topic, because that's the compelling part though. Windows as a service. There's no such thing as service packs. But for those of you who aren't keeping up to date, you knew that about last week we actually saw TH2, which was Threshold 2 is actually one of the big major updates come through. So when they said parts were coming, it actually is. Hey, bring it back for a moment. They're not cutting off the transmission or anything else, though. There's one thing also I have to announce for a bit, though, is that there's something that's known around here called Gavanese. It is English at Mark 1. Because, like I said, I'm excited about what I actually do over here, so I just hope that not the nerves but the excitement's not actually running me away from this one. I'm also getting looks from Matt over here. Give a thumbs up, make sure it's all nice and legible here. But then there's the next part. How do we actually embrace it? No, we're not talking about those big, soft cuddles or anything like this one. Let's have a look at the raw numbers. If you've been watching Channel 9 MSDN, the official channel online videos from Microsoft themselves, a combination from MS Ignite Australia, combination from the keynotes, and how gorgeous does that Surface Book actually look in the flesh. 116 million devices in 16 weeks, and those are the announced figures in mid-November. 650 billion searches through Microsoft Edge. Those are all the telemetry, all the results going through. Half of these actually from these numbers actually from Panos Panay, from Microsoft, when he was actually presenting the Surface Book in Surface Pro 4. 120 years of combined streaming from Xbox One to PC. Then why is that relevant for the enterprise environment? You've got your users who are getting more familiar with it here, who also have the expectations of bringing it to an environment. I mean, how many times have you also seen other devices, whether it be Android tablets and all forms of iOS coming in? Like, that is their answer. They bring up the solution, and they expect us, as much as possible, to price the solution. 1 billion Cortana questions actually being asked vocally so far. So it's getting better. Not everything is actually perfect, but it's doing very, very well so far. And it's nice to have a bit of a sense of humor though. And what I've also found is the Windows App Store was very fragmented. Again, coming from the Windows 8 days. Can you imagine you've actually got Windows Phone 8. You also have Surface RT. Had great faith in the Surface RT, Windows RT, and my Surface 2 as well, though. So of course you've got the ARM processor for that certain store, and then of course you got the apps that actually ran on x86 and x64, 64-bit, 32-bit. But I mean, yes, if the let's see, if the vendor was good enough, though, that actually write up, oh, the developer, sorry, was good enough, that actually write up the software to actually fit all of them, though. But 125 billion visits to the Windows App Store will also start talking about universal apps. But you're still asking, but yes, Gav, I may not actually use apps. I may actually just be using the applications instead that you normally install, though. But I'm seeing so far, even the good old venerable Windows 7. I mean, how long it take for us to actually think about mentioning Windows 7 as one that's been around for quite a while now? Well, I'm actually seeing a lot of Windows 7 installs again from people coming into the training areas of DDLS. It's just cobbled together. It's Windows 7 and then something else on top of it here. Who's ever tried installing Windows 7 on a brand spanking new machine? You got to compete with BIOS, the old firmware, with the UEFI. There's no support for USB 3 out of the box. SATA 3. I'm gesticulating wildly here in front of this slide over here. So we also have to shoehorn to make it almost fit for purpose. I don't know about you, but with my usage of 10, 8.1, I rock up to Windows 7. Maybe it's my short attention span, but I'm finding a lot of things missing at the moment. I go to the control panels, I look at my service and go, why isn't this here to begin with? But another good thing to embrace it with, and I'm getting a couple of good knowledgeable nods already, is that we manage it with what we already have. You've actually got your Azure subscriptions here. WSUS, Windows Service Update Service, as long as it's actually running from Server 2012. Ladies and gents, you're still running WSUS on the 2008 R2 server. I'm sorry, there's actually no updates for Windows 10 to grab the Windows updates on WSUS. Or, of course, you're pushing it through SCCM. Config Manager 2012 R2 definitely does recognize what Windows 10 actually is, not just for reporting services, but also to maintain as you need to. 2012 onwards have got all the fixes as well, and if you actually can, go and get the ADMX templates for group policy to manage your Windows 10 machines. And yes, as of last week, we have the ADMX group policy templates to manage Windows 10 TH2 as well. Must we always keep the older systems running? Well, I've actually got an old Dell XT Latitude. They're the old clamshell, multi-hybrid tablets, and you 2 hours of battery life, Core 2 Duo. But anyway, it was actually able to install on it perfectly fine. I found that anything that runs with Vista Romans, for example, the vast majority of drivers actually work though. But you know what? New operating system, why don't we actually have a look at new features on board though? So for those of you looking at, and even those who haven't, a couple of terms such as, you do have things such as Device Guard to begin with. Device Guard, I'll just go through it just briefly. This is the one where you have a feature to only run signed applications that you decide from Microsoft or from the trusted vendors themselves. You may have also heard from Windows 7 App Locker though, but there's a nice little part of Device Guard. We'll get to it to a brief summary. We also have things such as Credential Guard. We actually put a username password, of course, so if credentials go through. With Credential Guard, though, you can actually have malware that kicks in at pretty much, the very first second we start up your machine before the operating system kicks in. Is it residing somewhere else in your hard drive here? So with Credential Guard, with Windows 10, on the other hand here, it actually eliminates that part of malware from trying to grab credentials to begin with. More about that later on. Windows Hello. Now, we're not just talking about the fingerprint scanners, though, although we've had biometrics for quite a while, though. I was actually very impressed with my very first Xbox Connect. In fact, I actually log in with my face, for example. That's not pretty. Mother loves it. It will suit me okay. But I could just walk in front of the Xbox 360, look at the Xbox camera with the infrared cameras as well, also log me in here. And I was always looking at that first game, gee, wouldn't that be nice to be able to just rock up to your laptop and just have a look at it here, it automatically just logs you in. If you walked away, it will just log you out. My concerns about it too, especially after traveling quite a fair bit to deliver courses, is I've actually seen people sitting down, Qantas Lounge, Virgin Lounge, or even just at the departure gates. They're entering their username and passwords, but they see at the departure gate, with the rest of, well, for example, I don't actually have my pass there, so I'm sitting at the departure gate with everybody else though. But if you're comfortable in the airport lounges though, just want to grab up and grab a drink, you've got a lot more space for people to be sitting behind you who may be quite innocently looking at their phones, but they're actually going to be filming your keystrokes instead of your passwords as they go through. So Windows Hello and biometrics will get you in. We'll talk more about the Intel RealSense cameras as well. Mobile device management, Windows Intune here. There's a lot of third-party choices out there right now, although unfortunately, because of the way they are configured, some of them are a scorched earth policy, which is yes, you report your device as lost, where we will actually send out the signal for it here to wipe it completely clean. And that's why people get a little bit cagey though. They say, oh, wait a sec, I can pick whatever device I want, but if I join the work environment here, you can wipe my photos at any point in time. That's also the other thing we have to establish here. Our people feel comfortable because we have to establish that level of trust. Level of trust, for example, that yes, we can actually install our things onto your mobile phone, but we can't see your photos. But of course, if they finish their contractual obligations or their employment with us, though, any data that's tagged as ours from the enterprise can also be wiped or no longer accessed anymore, though. So Windows Intune, first coming along in 2003, has come an absolute long way since then. Mobile device management is actually built in, though, and Windows Intune is based on subscriptions, though. Yes, you are not. Don't adjust the television sets, ladies and gentlemen, here. This is actually just one of my favorite photos to show in class, though, because this came up through one of my mates through Facebook, and they were just going through the whole sort of, trying to cut down their fats and sugars, etc. here. So, geez, I'll tell you what, opening up these cans of tuna takes such a long time. So you can imagine when the photo was actually showing through there, it was just wild bewilderment, or just a couple of hits of laughter with this one though. So we've got to know what's actually best. We've got to also find out when it's actually best just to retire some tools, and maybe there's actually some applications that do not work anymore. We know what line of business applications are. We know that sometimes it's also going to be quite difficult to schedule downtime in a place that runs 24/7. Medicine, hospitals, television stations here, anything that power generation here. It's very hard to actually go and shut these things down. So we often inherit quite a fair bit of legacy line business software to begin with, though. But we can only stretch things only so far. If you have a chance to have a chat to your users. It's interesting what meetings can achieve, but I reckon you get a good insight by have a sit down with them here, grab a coffee, a tea, chai latte, whatever the case can actually be, grab a beer, drink a water, whatever the case can be, find out how they actually want to do things here. There's one photo I have not put up as yet, though, was I have a very interesting time traveling for work because of the amount of photos I carry with me. Look, if I'm going to practice what I preach, if I'm actually going to support, let's see, Windows Phone, go to 3%. iOS, Android. I'm actually staring at my collections of iPhone 5Cs, Nokia 930s, 1020s. I've also got like an old, Galaxy S4 running about here. So I've actually got to look after all those and manage those too. So you got a whole lot of people who want to choose their devices here. Gorgeous screens, battery life, interoperability here. They also expect quite a fair bit of collaboration as well. Your staff working habits and what they've actually grown up with has actually changed. Now, this is my personal anecdotal evidence over here. We're starting to move away from our users who often just shrug their shoulders and go, I can't do something right now here. It's now actually getting to the point where our users come up to us, especially when they're confronted by limitations in group policy, about why can't we do what we actually want to do? Now, what's actually stopping me from actually getting the job done? The quickness and ease of seeing people is quickly just highlight photos and share or grab this information here and post it through here. But then it's not just about photos and lines and text and posts. It could also be things such as the information that maybe you do not want leaked out this long way. There's only so much when email memo goes around telling your staff, do not send this out, please, for Warstone. So more devices is absolutely fine. Your users are more likely to collaborate these days here, join SharePoint, and also interaction with everyone too. So how does it actually all fit in the family though? I've actually just got these up here for a bit of a comparison though. Remember the good old MS-DOS family? Happy birthday Windows 1, for example, that's 30 years of service there. So everything from DOS to way to 95, someone says Windows need, letter edition, tell them no thank you. But then we saw that shift over to your NT kernel there, NT 351, all the way up to the good old workhorse. It just retired in 2013, good old Windows XP. But then came Vista. I reckon I was probably one of the only proponents of Vista because I needed a 64-bit operating system for my video editing needs though. Now, does anyone remember XP 64-bit? It was a bit of the abandoned operating system, if you will. This is where you actually have the chance to find that XP could not install certain things, and it said, I'm sorry, Gavin, your Windows machine does not have XP Service Pack 3. And there was no Service Pack 3 for XP 64-bit though. However, we've also known that Vista 7, 8.1, and now Windows 10, we've actually had drivers that look, pretty much if things actually work from your Windows Vista era, you're still going to install inside 10 at all. What I find with things such as applications and drivers is that it's often the installer has issues working with Windows 10, but the driver files behind them, once you expand out all the folders here, are extractable and a chance to get across both. Okay. One thing I actually haven't done is yet though, because okay, that's nice. Well, I think I've actually neglected just to do one little part here, which is just to go through, just bear with me. Let's actually have a look. Actually using Windows 10 to begin with here. Okay, so I'm actually just remoting into one of our lab environments there. So there we go. After actually logging the username and password here, I just had to go and cache everything out first. Let me just go and sign out this user to go and begin with. A couple of ways, of course. I can right-click the start menu here, or I can actually go there and click on April Reagan's account. I'm just going to go and log her up as well. Let's go ahead and sign out. Let's bring up something first. Now I'm actually deciding to actually just trust in a robust internet connection and virtual machines that give me here. So it's nothing like doing this on the live studio audience. Okay, just hitting my space bar over here, and actually you can see that's April's account, and let's see whether my little blip radar is good. Now what I do with my mouse, for example, I don't like doing mouse trails, it just does my head in, but I've actually selected it so that if I tap control, you should see a nice little radio blip button over here. I'm going to put in the funky password to begin with over here. You may see the eyebrow icon to press that with your left mouse button at your fingertips there. You'll actually see the right passwords too. Can be quite handy, especially when you're working with international images that may not use English, US as your default keyboard. I've also got domain controllers running just in the background though. Now this particular virtual machine, also running on Hyper-V. This one actually it's pretty much set up just like a desktop to begin with here. And I also had to make sure I logged on previously, so I'm not waiting too long to come in so far. Anything interesting, Matt, coming through so far, the questions? All coming thick and fast? Yeah? All good? Fantastic. Just make sure they're not talking million miles an hour. Enter stage, right? April's desktop. This summer, theaters everywhere. Yes, I do have a chance to happen up occasionally.
Got the
sharp pointy stick. There we go. Interesting too that the machine I'm actually connecting into at the moment has got the sweet half terabyte SSD sitting in that pass through. Well, here we go. This is going to be your standard Windows 10 desktop to begin with. Let's do a very brief tour to begin with here. So yes, start menu is actually back, but Some people consider the tiles a bit of a distraction. I've been running Windows Phone for quite a while. I like the fact that I can actually look at anything from, well, not with the Outlook, of course, but calendar entries. So I'm used to having a peek at something without opening any apps as well. Look, I've been running Android ever since Gingerbread. I've been looking at iOS ever since the iPhone 3 first came out, and I'm actually keeping quite a big collection with me. And yes, I've actually got this thing talking to you here. So let's go take a look. Don't forget there is a difference between apps. For those of you who are not going to the Windows 8 space, your apps is what you can get from the Windows Store, or you can sideload your own, and we have your applications too. So let's have a real brief tour. All apps over here. As we're on through and scrolling on down, this is what you normally expect to see when it comes down to your apps. Now, what about applications like, well, in this case, Office 2013? This is where you don't get the nice, the gorgeously styled logos. Drop down Office 2013. There we go. This is actually going to be your good old keyboard mouse access on the way. Now, you've got a couple of clicks of the letters here. There you go, you can actually just quickly get into the right areas. Now, there was a limit in the technical previews of only 500 bits of software that you can actually have. They've definitely gone to a much higher value at its actual full release, excuse me. Let's actually just get on back. Other parts you have, of course, you've got power, of course, no need to do that, of course. But you click on the settings button here, this isn't the control panel that we are normally used to. Well spaced out for your touch interface once again. It's a little bit of a hybrid. I do like the cleaned up, less fussy icons you actually have. So, of course, you've got system, display notifications, apps, and power. So, for those of you who've actually come from 8.8.1, notice I'm actually running this app in a window view. It doesn't actually have to take up my full screen whatsoever. I can maximize if I want to. I can also pop it on down as well though. But Windows updates. Microsoft actually had a chance to go ahead and actually grab Windows updates, not just from the servers themselves, but actually do have a peer-to-peer technology actually built in though. This is also another bone of contention for your standard users, because some users are going to be inconvenienced or you haven't had time to test these updates going through so far. So if you are a Windows 10 home user, you're always going to get the latest updates. But it's always curious when it comes down to different mindsets. If Apple releases an iOS update here, people are clamoring to actually get the latest updates so far. Whereas you've got different expectations with Windows, where you want to install it within your own time. It's often the unpatched operating system called castles, with the threats of worms that spread from, not viruses, not malware, but worms that spread from machine to machine with no user interaction whatsoever. Okay, so what's the issue here? When it comes down to your Windows updates, though, if I have a look at your Tuesday updates are delivered, though, we'll hang on peer-to-peer. So does that mean, Gav, that if I've got multiple Windows 10 machines, they're going to get Windows updates as well? Well, yes. As long as you actually update more than one place that you turn on, and your PCs on your local network over here. And yes, UAC, very handy, has actually popped up though. But there's also PCs on my local network and PCs on the internet though. So for those of you in remote locations, satellite internet though, that's going to be a little bit of a build shock here. So you may just want to bring that back just to your own PCs. It also means you don't have to set up a WSUS server in small, isolated environments here. It's 9 o'clock. Moving on back. All right, so what else do we have sitting up around here? Now, yes, you also have your tiles. You can also go ahead and resize and bring them on down. And then let's have a look at also down the bottom area here. Another thing I also like is the notification areas up here. So anything such as going to tablet mode, I'm going on here. And that's awesome. Keeping an eye on the clock over on this side here. So over on the Action Center, now the Action Center Windows 7 also, I'm going to show you the firewall and line. This is your notifications area. Again, I'm a big fan of this. Some people will get, Gav, this is overly fussy, but I like the fact that any new notification says email, if it's worthy of my attention, I'll actually just go and open it up as and when I actually need to though. But anything that comes up with Facebook, I can just dismiss the whole thing though. I'm a big fan of it too. So let's just go and bring it on down. So Action Center is a bit different. But everything else, well, not everything has to be different. I right-click, for example, Network and Sharing Center, set your network connections though. So of course, your traditional desktop to begin with though. But what about if you actually got a tablet? You see I've actually got tablet mode just here. If I actually select onto this, your desktop's actually going to wind out. And that's where you actually do have your tablet interface if you need to. So the things that were actually missing was on the hamburger menus, they call it right at the very top to bring those up. But of course you got it's kind of nice. You use it on-screen buttons with Android. I do like the fact you can actually have a chance to wind it on back. There's also Task View. Task View, of course, is running using Alt-Tab on the touchscreen though, and you can also set it to multiple desktops if you'd like. So have all your work stuff on one window and also multiple desktops of your fun stuff on the other. Another feature I also like, especially for those of you with detachable keyboards, like Lenovo Mix 2 or your Surface Pro 3 and 4s, is that when you actually detach the keyboard, Continuum automatically flicks between one or the other here. I'm just manually doing it here because unless I've got a nice camera rigged up, swinging back to desktop mode once again. But yeah, take off the keyboard and flips off between. There are reports so far with the latest Windows 10 TH2 is that if you actually continue to take off your keyboard, so it's in tablet mode, then you shut down your tablet, then you fire back up with the keyboard attached, it may get a little bit stuck at the moment. So we're hoping to see a speedier resolution with that. I've only seen it happen to me once in this case, so I just quickly just restarted here. But I like the fact that it's actually quite adaptable to what I actually wanted to actually do. But all intents and purposes, though, when it comes down to installing the software, though, I've actually just found this it's quite good to use. It's just information at my fingertips more than anything, though. That's just the brief sample about it here running on me. Okay. See a couple of questions about compatibility, interoperability. Almost a shoulder surfing over matter on this side here. Thanks, mate. Appreciate it. Is that your applications will work, hardware and drives from this onwards should work with Windows 10. I know I should really be reading on the slides though, but then what if they don't? I've seen a lot of people also do the classic of going and right-clicking the exe file or the launcher, going to the good old compatibility tab. What have we done? You know, we've gone, make it run like Windows 7, make it run like Windows XP. Doing it inside an administrator mode if you want to. A little secret of what I'm actually a big fan of is the Application Compatibility Toolkit. This is actually part of the Windows ADK Assessment and Deployment Kit over on this side. Because what the Application Compatibility Toolkit does, you actually run this in the background, and then you run the problematic software, and it's going to pick up registry hacks that you would never actually have thought of before. There's about, of these 500 fixes, it may use one, it may use 40, I don't know. But if I run ACT, and it's able to come up with a little MSI file, Microsoft install file though, they actually have a chance to run it in the false environment. I've actually had software running here with these obscure registry hacks to get things up and going though. But we've also got things like AppV, running apps that are virtualized. Well, if you're very familiar with Citrix, for example, it's made it smarter when it comes to AppV. It's not connected to the server, it's running the server being piped to you. You also have remote app, and you also have user experience virtualization, UEV, that brings the settings around to your users as well. Because there's no point having the great and shiniest if what we want to run doesn't go through. Okay, let's have a look at also one of the security settings too. At the moment here, when I've got a lot of miles underneath at the moment when it comes to traveling though, so some people think I'm overly paranoid about things. I always travel with my machines BitLocked. I've also got the, even the micro SD card where I save everything too. I've also changed the local policy so that it's automatically, well, not unencrypted, but automatically accessible as soon as you pop it in, especially when you can buy those so sweet 200 gig SD cards to put it there too. So let me just do a little bit of dramatic reenactment for you, what really sold me on BitLocker here. A dramatic reenactment coming soon to the airport bathroom, you and you. Okay. I ate something dodgy, and of course, by the time you jump on a flight, this little short haul from Sydney and actually coming home into Melbourne here, turbulence kind of hit, and I couldn't really sit down. So I was busting, scratching, and go. I won't go into too many details here. Let's have a look at a couple of photos. Yep, that's right. It's a nice little dingy airport toilet over here. This side though. Now, of course, unless I won't identify the airline or which part it actually is though. But you know, if you got to go, you got to go. But there's nowhere to put my bags. Now, of course, by the time we have a couple of flights to get off, you know, these toilets aren't the most cleanest of areas. So I can't put my bag anywhere, so I'm not going to put it by the side. I think, Gav, put it on the hook, on the door. Well, you carry the amount of crud that I actually do when I travel and equipment there. I've actually, almost taken a hook off the door for being too heavy. So 2 heavy hooks, they get nice and clean. So, sitting down though, but of course, I heard the steps of a gentleman stop behind, the other side, a cubicle though. And all he did was he pivoted, and he actually said the word, yoink, and he threw in my backpack. So what am I doing? I'm going, my pants around, my uncle's going, oi, what are you doing? And also, he's just being as calm as anything. He just walks out with my pack on in here. He's serious, and it's long gone over here. Feel free to actually look up, it's a true story, etc. I'm shattered and also in a very big set of undress here. Look, by the time I sort myself out, walk out, they try to find the CCTV footage of the guy walking through arrivals, etc. It starts the day. But what am I freaking out about? Look, when it comes down to hardware, I've got, travel insurance is awesome, okay? Work also looks after it as well, though. It's an asset write-off with your finance partner here or travel insurance claims, though. But my main concern is what's actually on it, though. Take out the hard drive, take ownership, for example, or just to see what's on board. I have contacts of close to about a couple of thousand clients actually sitting there out there, both on the hard disk and also on the SD card as well. What if you've got prototypes, product launches, stuff that's actually still under non-disclosure agreements in yourself and another seat here. But there's also others too. There's actually a form of attack called pass the hash attack. What actually happens this one is, and this always tries to avoid who's got the bad habit of actually logging on with a domain admin account onto a local machine. It's all right, you don't actually have to to confess. But this one over here, though, it means that you may actually leave the underlying hash of the user's password still logged on. It could actually be taken up and fed into the authentication of other machines. So you can just try the let's see, with enough reporting software about the type of service that's not authenticated to. So you think, well, this is why I hang around all the airport lounges here, because I doubt that your CIO is going to be hanging around the departure gate. They're worth their salt. You also have an issue with older trusted platform providers. Now, these little TPM chips are not always on the like domestic level machines, though, but they actually have the ability to store smart cards and the like on board, though. But I also make another little bit of tip of the hardware that I actually buy. I make sure that they do not have Thunderbolt or FireWire connectors, etc. here, because there's still some issues with direct memory access, the ability to take those keys on the fly. So that's okay, it was all reported. And if you actually want to know which operating system I was going through for this one, the operating system I was looking at was Windows Vista. Okay, let's have a look at the additions that's actually going to suit us, though. And you can see they've really had a chance just to wind all back with just, it's called Windows 10. I don't really call it Home Edition just here. You've got Professional, Educational, and Enterprise, though. No Ultimates, no Home Basics or anything. Maybe it's actually a bit of a high-mind look at things, though, but I do like the fact that a lot of stuff from the enterprise operating system actually filtered down to what you see in home and also professional these days. Let's put it this way. The standard user can actually do far more inside Windows 10 than they can actually do in Windows 7, or they can actually do inside Windows XP. But let's see what's actually going to be best when it comes down to your to the update. We know that Home Edition can't join domain, but a lot of them will actually come up with professionals that come through. Okay. Well, what about updates? When we actually go towards back to the title of this presentation here, this webinar, we're talking about this is the sort of thing that looks at the compulsory side of things. I have to use Windows 10 or the new feature. I don't want those to actually happen though. You may not be aware that there's actually different types of updates you can actually get, some just for security or just for some new features as well though. Look, I don't actually get to see any of the engineering builds. I don't work for Microsoft though. When we had the MCT Summit, Microsoft Certified Trainer Summit in North Ryde, Sydney this year, they were playing around with builds as us instructors were jealously looking on until they started crashing every sort of 10 minutes though. But then the sort of things that we start seeing, of course, is the Microsoft Insider Preview branch, which is actually on the inner circle, the fast window. Now, you and I know if you're on the fast stream, we have to look after it ourselves. And I hope you're doing fast stream is that you're actually putting up your fixes and you're putting up on the forums and all the reports that actually come through. Then, of course, you've got the slow ring, which is one build behind. What I like about a slow ring is you get the newest features and critical security updates, but at least by the time you come across an issue, it's either non-existent or there's actually forums populating answers as well. Then, of course, you have current branch. That's going to be your home user, small business, for example, and always get the latest features and always get the latest patches that have been heavily tested. So probably about 4 months after the preview builds actually go through. But then it also gives you plenty of time, especially in the business side, the enterprise side, so you can actually get this. You can actually go to Windows Enterprise, current branch, which means you get everything pretty much straight away. But then you can also get a different version of Windows Enterprise, Windows 10 Enterprise, called Current Branch with Business, which is another 8 months after what have actually been released though. So yes, you will get the latest updates and also the latest features though, but hopefully it gives the vendors, third-party vendors, enough time. If there's an issue with the application though, there's going to be a fix coming through. But you may also have heard of LTSB, Long Service Branch. What if you just want the critical update? You don't want any of the new features that are coming through, for example, though. Well, do we have a version of Windows NT for you? There we go. Passing this back a little bit, there we are. So a couple of acronyms on your side, though, just concentrating on the bottom sections over here. So the current branch of business is features and updates, and the long-term service branch is security updates only. But there's also another form of LTSB. This is actually just something I managed to find to illustrate the point over here. If you actually, for example, if you're the long-term service branch, you can actually stay on this as a critical and fixes and security settings for 10 years. So that's it. That's all you actually get for the 10 years or so. But what if you actually want an extra feature? You actually have to upgrade to the next long-term service branch sitting up here. So, for example, ever since Windows 10 was launched, let's see, just last year, there's actually one form of long-term service branch already. So do you stay with that for the next 9 years? Or do you upgrade to Threshold 2, which I released last week, etc. here, and it will filter down eventually. So you will get the newer features, so the group policies to manage updates for Windows 10, and stick with that for a while though. So when you go up, you actually can't go back. So you can actually upgrade if you like, or you have to reinstall everything. And whoever thought that upgrade would be so much easier these days, you know, except for some older hardware, or, ooh, here's a nice little one. When I was actually doing an update on my Dell Beacon 8 Pro, you may have actually seen, sometimes in the forums, you find online, it stops doing the upgrade at 40% and it's stuck there for ages here. From previous upgrade experience, I forgot to eject the micro SD card. I remember my desktop, an older, Core i7, I actually had to disconnect the 4 terabyte hard drive so I could just see upgrade with the SSD only. And by having that here, I could go through the upgrade no problems. It wasn't hanging at that mysterious little 40% to begin with, though. And what's also compelling for me as well when it comes down to Windows 10, compared to what you can actually do with 7, if you're going to use it here, is the worst you can actually have. Well, going back to Vista, when I actually lost that laptop of mine, well, lost it was getting stolen from the toilets. Anyway, you know what I could have done if I fast forward this about another 9 years or so? I could actually just walk up to Pitt Street Mall, any of the shops open right now, and I could just go and get myself a device with Windows 10 Professional on it though. Because one of the options I actually get is the ability to, straight off the back here, log in with my gavin.can.dlos.com.au account. because when I got Azure Active Directory switched on over here, I'll actually get it to join up straight away. Or maybe after the fact, going into the products over here, I've just blacked out my name. There we are. Put on the accounts, just so to begin with though. And there will be times for questions very, very shortly though. So there we go. I hope that this little rapid fire, 50 minutes or so here. Look, I'm just sharing my thoughts. It's really one man's anecdotal evidence compared to all the thousands of clients of myself and all the awesome team here at DDLS have actually taught over here about what actually keeps going here. So maybe the hope of actually not getting you to, praise everyone and raise your hands in the air in this case here. What I'm hoping for is actually give you a good chance to maybe give a better bit of information on why I find, and hope why you find what's compelling, and maybe embrace Windows 10. That's a nice sample. Thank you, everyone. Now, I believe we actually have some time for questions.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for that, Gavin. We actually do have a few.
All the people.
So, Gavin, we have a question from
Let's actually bring it over onto your side here. Well, not quite, that's right. Let's have a look at answer a couple of questions here while we're at it.
So, Gavin, it's Rebecca here.
What do we have on board?
One of the questions was how does Windows 10 work with high definition screens?
High definition screens, so it's we're talking about 4K screens as well as over 30 frames per second, 30 hertz, 60 hertz, and the like. So what sort of resolutions are we looking at here? I'm actually looking at the chat right now, getting those, a big smiley face and like a big thank you. So I really appreciate it. I'm really excited here. So going back to your question before about high-res screens, tell me the QA side of things. Has there been anything changed? Yes, there was something here. Apologies if I mispronounced that. So our results actually asking, has there been any significant changes with PowerShell? Is VBScript still able to run on Windows 10? Yes. Let's see, I'm running up to PowerShell 5 right now.
Okay, but I think it's still there, the sports still.
Yes, you actually can. You still can run VBS if you like. How to deprecate let's do is they want these things onto VBS. So away from VBS onto PowerShell. But yet any of the books on PowerShell 3, for example, gives you 90% of your functionality for this one here. I've been answered here. So thank you, Arizal. Hope that's actually helpful. Next up, I can see Darren Marshall here. Does Windows 10 play nicely high-def screens? The Lenovo Yoga Pro laptop have gloriously high-resolution capabilities, but on Windows 8, that high-resolution is wasted on tiny, tiny icons. The DPI scaling is actually far better. We're actually seeing a lot of the Lenovo X1 Carbons as well. They're also coming up with your 4K 15-inch screens, but we can actually increase the DPI and still keeping all the mouse points all perfectly fine with this one. So yes, you can actually scale up to about, well, more than just use 150%, you can up to 300% in this case. So that actually still works quite nicely. So Darren, I actually hope that's answered your question as well. What else do we also have? Yeah, of course you have all the way.
For the last few minutes, and any questions when it comes through. So if anybody's got any questions, please forward them through in the question and answer box. We've just got a few minutes to wrap up.
And also, you're actually following me on Twitter, comes as BuzzPuppy side of things. It's also just my my randomness about Venus existing on this course plan.
So I mentioned the certifications and courses that are coming up too.
Oh, okay. We have to go through the courses as yet. Okay, we've got another one coming through. So the sort of course that we actually have, I haven't got a slide prepared for it so far though, but there's actually 3 courses available that we actually have. In fact, I'm actually teaching the inaugural one over in Sydney so far this week. The first one that we actually have is 2697-1. Now 2697-1, it's actually geared towards people who are actually working, service desk or junior admin for the first time. So it's very similar to like XP courses. It's a great basic skill set. So NTFS and share permissions. You're also looking at the latest features of, not lately on Windows 10, but the usual things on spec. So IPv4, IPv6, name resolution here, group policy, all your day-to-day skills that you have. The next one we actually have, the 2697-2, we actually go to see those who think, well, Gab, I've been playing around Windows XP 7, 8.1 for quite a long time, 2012. Let's have a look at some of the newer features. That's a Windows Intune. We actually go live. We get you to create Windows Outlook.com accounts for you to actually go in and set them up if you need to. And one of my favorites here, there's not many courses where we do actual troubleshooting. If you've actually roughed up and actually done the 6293 course for Windows 7 or the 2688 Windows 8.1 course, this is where we go through practices. This is the step-by-step follow, actually more way of fixing something. Then we run a couple of scripts. It breaks either the network services or the operating systems. And I stress this, you don't have to fix it, you have to identify what the issue is. Maybe you can't fix it because you don't have domain admin rights, but at least you know that no matter GP update or restart a machine, it can help. So friendly heads up here, I'll also be teaching, and everyone else will teach, the 10.982, supporting and troubleshooting Windows 10. This is where you break and fix, and it's interesting to see how people actually go about trying to solve the instance here. Like I said, if someone's actually trying to print something at 4 o'clock and you're actually looking at the print user device, well, let's have a look at the grand scheme of things here. It's not fix the printer, it's someone needs something printed before the close of business. So 10.962, I'm a big fan, and I can't wait to teach that one.
For Windows 10, I don't know if you can hear me out there, but for Windows 10, basically the new certs that will be coming out, the first, which will be configuring Windows devices, is still in beta, due to release at any moment. There will be 2 new tracks for Windows 10, including a dev-orientated one in the new year, so watch out for more information as that comes through.
That's it. That's it. Is that time to just wrap it up here?
I think we've gone way beyond.
I'm actually glad that people are still with us. I'm looking at about 115 minutes at the moment here that people are sick, and I'm actually glad that people are still here. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I just want to say thank you very much for spending your time here listening to my take on things on the side. And before we actually head off, though, this is just the end of the desk here. Before we leave the session today, we just have a short survey on tonight's webinar. It's because your insights will help to shape the future webinars that we also want to do as well. So definitely spread the word. We will send you a link to the recording of this actual event, and I'll also add up my slide decks as well in the next few days. But if you actually want more information on our Windows 10 courses, please visit www.ddls.com.au. So on behalf of DDLS, thank you for joining us today. Have an awesome time, and I'll see you inside the halls of DDLS sometime soon. Thank you.